So it's been almost a year since we finished our Virginia native species planting project with a grant. And so I wanted to give an update of our garden. So when we walk right in the backyard, you'll see that our mulch path did not make it. It did great, but then just over a year's worth of friction, the mulch walked away. So we are currently getting ready to do a concrete path that will be permeable in between the pieces. So we'll add that, but I'll show you this low bed here, which is extremely wet. So it was great to turn this from a muddy pit into a beautiful garden. So we have some smooth hydrangea in here. We have some bluebells. Over here we have cardinal flower. We've decided to let wild violets come up, so those are interspersed. And then some of our cinnamon ferns are beginning to emerge. One of our surprises has been stonecrop. I added this to the plan on a whim and have just really fallen in love with it, and it's doing really well. We'd love to see this grow and take over and even grow in between this walkway here. Over here we have our berry patch, which isn't doing too well. The blueberries were not part of the grant. They were another kind, and they have almost all failed. But we've started to add some other berries and are trying some new experiments. So right now we have some little blackberries in there and some other wild natives that have cropped up. And so it's just kind of an experimentation area right now. So if I come up here, we have our herb and vegetable garden that's in the works. We'll pass by that one to go up to our next one that was part of the grant. So in this one, there's yarrow. The yarrow has come back beautifully. Has really started to spread. I can't wait for it to flower. I was hoping to take this video when everything is in bloom, but of course things aren't all in bloom at once. So you'll see some things in bloom and some things are just greening up. Also in this garden, there's echinacea. There's black-eyed Susan just starting to come up. The tick seed is coming up and looking nice and bushy. And then there's also some Solomon seal that I thought we had lost. It really didn't do anything last year. It looked just dead for most of the year, but it bounced back. So plants are certainly amazing like that. Over here is a garden that's doing so well. I do not know how to say these low plants. I think it's Hechura, but I'm not totally sure how to pronounce it. This is a variety called Coral Bells, but I just love that color. Then we also have the river oats that are low and coming up. We have a non-native hydrangea that was already in there. And then coming around, these tall ones are sweet pepper bush. And interspersed with the sweet pepper bush are Solomon seal. If you go look in the back close to our porch, you can see ones that are a few years older and more mature. That started from, it was 2 plants, and they have dropped enough seed for those other ones to grow. And then up close are the other ones. So our walkway path here that was also mulch has mostly become overgrown, so we have to do some work around that. Over here you can see some more tick seed, and we have several dogwood plants over here that have been growing and shooting at babies. So the maintenance that we've had to do is weeding, but it's so far, I mean, I haven't put a hose or anything on any of these. They're coping very well with Virginia's weather. Over here we have some sensitive ferns. They're so unique looking, and they have just been coming up recently and doing well. This is another area that's kind of marshy. Behind that is a Japanese snowball that's not native and has been in our family for a while. And you can see here our carex bed. It does need a weeding, but you can see the carex. This was a lot. I think we put in 75 over here. It might have even been more than that. It was a lot of carex, but it is coming up, and we hope that it will drop its seed and be even more of a lawn type look by next year. In the midst of this, we have some more sweet pepper bush. There's a red bud that is doing well. Over here we have some whitewood aster. These will put up flowers later on that, again, they didn't really do much last year. We wondered if maybe we'd lost them, but they came back beautifully. And then way back here, got a little tiny itty bitty baby red bud that's so little, and some Christmas ferns. So we'll walk back. You can see my kids actively playing in the yard. I thought maybe I'd get a chance to clean it all up before making a video, but if I did that, I think our flowers would stop being in bloom because it would just never happen. So over here is some Virginia sweet spire. That will bloom later in the summer. And we have an ostrich fern bed here. We experimented with leaving leaves down through the fall, and then just in the past month, I cleaned out this bed so I could weed it, but I did leave weeds along the back where there's landscape fabric to prevent ivy coming in from the neighbor's yard. You will see here the purple is called common bugleweed or ajuga. It is an invasive. I've been working on getting it out. It definitely was suffocating some of our wildflowers. So I've cleaned it out of the wildflower area already. And that has allowed some of the columbines, those little red flowers, to come up. But I have more work to do. So come over here. This is my favorite area right now because of the flowers. So there's the red columbine. And then we have this woodland phlox, the purple, looking very beautiful. And then the golden ragwort here, starting to go to seed. So they're not quite as vibrant looking as they were, but they're still pretty cheery. We have more Solomon seal coming up. The passion flower vine is looking mostly dead, but showing a little bit of love. And then this Virginia pine was a volunteer. It just started growing on its own, and we decided not to dig it up, and now it's getting tall. So back here are the elderberry bushes past our fire pit. And 2 of these 3 yielded berries. They're starting last fall. Right now they're starting to get some blooms on them. They're just little tiny green dots right now, but we look forward to them turning into flowers. These have been shooting up little runners, so I've been cutting those out and sharing them with other people. Also in here is more phlox. 3 pawpaws trees. 2 of the 3 have leaves. The other one's lagging behind a bit. We have a mixture of ferns back here, of lady ferns and wood ferns. The hostas were previously here. Someday we may take them out as the other things spread, but we're not ready for that quite yet. And then we've had a few things pop up on its own. So these tall ones seem to be a type of goldenrod. I think they're wreath goldenrod that came up on their own. So just a naturally occurring native species. What I will be able to confirm for sure when they bloom. And then also that's been encouraging is that I think this down here, I'm pretty sure this is something called partridge berry. That's another native that has taken up a home here, that we're providing a good home and allowing space and trying to weed out competition. And so it's neat to see that working. So we got one more bed to show you. Well, I guess actually there's 2, but they're really close to each other. We have an ostrich fern bed over here. And then this one over here has more of the smooth hydrangea and more cinnamon ferns that are coming up. Oh, speaking of, if you guys want to hang with me one more minute, I know this is really long already, but speaking of making space for natives, I just discovered these leaves yesterday, and I think that is an oak hydrangea. So I can't wait to see what develops there. So anyway, I hope that this video is fun to see the update of how things are looking in our yard.